Okay. Welcome everyone to Sermo's session, From Clicks to Conversations, where we'll explore how engagement is evolving between pharma's KOLs and DOLs. Key opinion leaders, or KOLs, are highly recognized authorities in their respective fields for their academic contributions and leadership within the medical community. Digital opinion leaders, or DOLs, leverage digital platforms to educate and engage their communities. In today's session, we'll get real about what's working and what's not, and how to build meaningful, trust-driven collaborations that lead to better HCP education and ultimately better outcomes. I'm Jordan Grafman, Executive Vice President of Global Commercial Development at Sermo, a physician social platform for providing the healthcare industry with real-time insights and authentic physician engagements through our community of 1 million verified physicians. I'm super excited to be joined on stage by our all-star physician panel that will be contributing to the discussion, including Dr. Z, who serves as Chief of Medical and Anti-Doping for UEFA, and he's also a key opinion leader. Dr. Azmain Chowdhury, a co-founder at Health Media Consultancy and a digital opinion leader. And Dr. Eleonora Teplinsky, a practicing breast gynecological medical oncologist, a Sermo medical advisory board member, and a DOL. You're also a mom. We only have 20 minutes, so let's dive into today's discussion and get going. All right, kicking us off, Dr. Z is a key opinion leader with decades of experience, and Dr. Chowdhury is a digital opinion leader in the earlier stages of your medical career. Can you both please share your elevator pitch on what effective engagement with pharma looks like? And I'm curious if we'll see any similarities.
First of all, I didn't know I'm a key opinion leader, but thank you next for this.
You run.
Yeah, I arrived here. I have multiple hats here. I am at the end of my career Chief Medical Officer, but I was a pediatric surgeon. I was the director of the hospital, Chief of OR, and I was engaged with pharma on many, many levels in my life. Obviously, there is a key problem. Medicine is driven by Hippocrates law, and pharma is driven by laws of economics. And that's something that put us actually on the opposing side of the spectrum. But I have to say that in recent years, I've noticed this shift in pharma industry towards social responsibility. And pharma industry has realized that it's important what they invest. So my first message would be, when you are approaching to opinion leaders or key opinion leaders, try to show responsibility, try to really show that you care about the patients, because that's what we care about. And then finally, try to be authentic. And we will discuss it a little bit later, as I know, so I will not use much more time.
Yep.
So in pharma, I feel like we tend to use the word omnichannel so much. I think it's getting a bit boring, isn't it? Because,
yeah.
Exactly. But, it's not enough to pay lip service or use buzzwords or just tick the box. We actually have to figure out how to get through to the younger generation of HCPs, of whom I guess I'm a representative here. So, this younger generation of HCPs, our lives are digital. We're on social media the whole time, and well, I guess that's true for many of us in this room. So I have managed to gain some 400,000 followers on social media with my health education content. And the reason I've had success as a digital content creator is because I understand what it means to be a digital content consumer. But when it comes to pharma, it feels like a lot of the upper limit of comms that actually filters down to a younger HCP like me is a boring, long, branded email that's just really bland with very little engagement or inspiration. So I think that, it's really about what younger HCPs value, and I'm going to echo Dr. here, it's authenticity and connection. We want to feel listened to, and we want to feel part of the conversation. So I think that pharma needs to optimize their digital and in-person comms so that it actually meets the needs of the HCP at the end of the pipeline.
Great. Well, it sounds like, certainly authenticity from a synergistic perspective. Obviously, the shift more continued presence digital and socially within the community. So, and I think, I know that we've talked a little bit about it, and it didn't come up here per se, but I think just in general, the content that's out there is being authentic, whether it be, medical-based and more evidence-based content.
100%.
Excellent. All right. Let's turn our attention to Dr. Teplinsky. Dr. Teplinsky, you've built a highly engaged following within the oncology space. I'm curious, what do you look for in other digital opinion leaders when seeking medical education on social platforms? And specifically, what gives somebody credibility in your eyes?
Well, I think the big thing we kind of talked about is authenticity and really what kind of content are they sharing? Is it evidence-based information? Looking for someone who is promoting accurate, credible information, who is combating and staying away from misinformation and disinformation. There is a lot of harmful content on social media, and so looking at a DOL who is really building an engaged community that is free of that is really, really important. And then and part of that also is what kind of content are they creating, and really kind of staying away from people that are promoting specific drugs, because that loses the authenticity, it loses that community engagement, and really thinking about what are they posting and who is consuming that content as well is really important.
Yeah, I think if we talk a little bit about it too as well, the difference, also between DOL, KOL, and an MSL, right? It needs, it needs to be authentic, it needs to be your voice, and it can't be forced, right? So I think that's really important. As a follow-up question, when thinking about the generations, right, of medical voices that are converging, for those grounded in academia, to those thriving in digital spaces, what are the differences that stand out to you between KOLs and DOLs?
Historically, KOLs were the ones, doing the research, standing on top of the podium at the meetings, and the DOLs are taking that information and presenting it online. And because digital media has become such an important part of communication, those lines are really being blurred. The KOL is engaging online, the DOL, through this community building and education, is now gaining a lot of trust in those communities. And so the lines are blurred, which is really important as we think about how we engage with both DOLs and KOLs, but it's becoming much more fluid than it has been in the past.
Yeah, I think there was an interesting comment, Dr. Chowdhury, you mentioned it was that, it was along the lines of, right, I think actually Dr. Teplinsky, you may have said it, that DOLs are not influencers, right? There's a difference. Just because it's social doesn't mean that they're influencers and they're not going to behave the same way as an influencer, otherwise you will lose the very ethos that is your authenticity.
Exactly.
Okay. For the group, let's dive into social and pharma a bit. Are there any particular content categories, channels, or formats that stand out as especially effective when pharma is partnering with KOLs or DOLs to educate HCPs specifically?
So, when it comes to the content I create, it's health education that's, some of my audience are patients and general public, but a lot of them are HCPs. And I think that when it comes to collaborations with pharma, what really is going to hit are discussions about important health conditions that the HCPs know and care about because they're seeing the patients come through their doors day in, day out, and they know what's going on, what's important. They will be able to provide that perspective about what actually matters and the health education that we need to partner together on to increase patient awareness and to ensure that we are educated about the things that genuinely matter to us and are relevant to our day-to-day practice. And I think it also is important that that material is engaging and interactive in the same way as my trademark medical quizzes on my social media.
I would say that, and I'm glad that authenticity is not, I'm not the only one in the English native person that has probably authenticity. I'm not the only one. Authenticity is very important. in my new role, but even previously, I have received daily messages about methods that have 100% sensitivity and specificity or 100% efficacy. Come on, guys, it's real life. It doesn't exist. And then it has been proven by research that has been paid by these or commissioned by these companies. You lost me. End of story. Try to prove with the real life, come with the real life, unbiased research to prove your method. In UEFA now we have even developed a method how to push away these companies that are coming with this, and we send them a questionnaire with 10 questions. You know what? 99% of companies don't come back to us because they don't know answers. We ask them, can you please give us evidence-based proof, and can you please give us unbiased research? That's one. Two, I have to say in the recent year, obviously being an old grumpy man, I have my issue about the younger generation here and thinking that they are going to spoil this world and kill it. But now in the recent campaign that we did in UEFA, get-train.com, by the way, I really advise all of you to go on get-train.com, where in 4 minutes you can get trained in CPR online by the best football stars in Europe. I even advise you to make your family members to have it, because chances that they will need this as well, because you work in the pharma industry to save your life. But also it showed that you can get community together around the good cause. And it was a simple message, you can save a life. We got 5 billion impressions. We got more than 4 million engagements. All the KPIs, you see I'm learning, KPIs of this campaign were so much better than the other business campaigns. So completion of online courses like the one, I'm using this to promote our course, but that's for saving lives. Like this course, completion rate is usually about 16% in business campaigns. It was more than 70% in this one. So it shows that if you can engage modern society around something. And finally, very important, and I learned it with this campaign, don't forget, and I'm very contemporary to this, young generation has attention span of 2 seconds. So you need to get them around 2 seconds. By that, I'm very young.
Which is a point that shouldn't be lost about what Dr. Chowdhury said earlier, right? That long-form content, that doesn't work for you, right? It needs to be personalized, it needs to be quick, it needs to be concise in a way that you can digest it in the moments that you have.
Exactly.
And I think when pharma is engaging with HCPs, right, thinking about what platforms, who are you reaching, and what the end goal is. Are you trying to work with HCPs to reach other HCPs, or are you trying to work with HCPs to reach patients? Because that strategy and that content is going to be very different. I got an email a few weeks ago from a pharmaceutical company asking me to apply to be an influencer. And so that really doesn't sit well, because one, I'm not an influencer, and the last thing I'm going to do is apply to do this. And so recognizing, right, who are you trying to reach? Because DOLs are not influencers, and so working with influencers to promote a drug looks very different than working with the DOL to promote, or to not promote, to educate on above brand content. And that's a big thing about what are the unmet needs. You know, in oncology, there are so many unmet needs, and patients are turning to social media to get their information. We know that, that's been proven. And so when they go on social media and they're searching for breast cancer, for example, I think pharma has a lot of opportunity to share and educate content in partnership with the DOL that has that community already, whether it's through a third party like education companies, because there are certainly compliance and limits, especially in the US, on some of this engagement. But there are ways to do this where the DOL's content is not being managed, so that we have full authority over what we're going to say, and we're not dictated. And that's when you really can build that engagement.
Yeah, and you maintain that level of authenticity.
Exactly.
That we talked about. Excellent. Thank you guys for that. Looking across your collective experiences, what are the top 1 to 2 things that pharma should do more of, or start doing if they're not currently doing it already, when partnering with opinion leaders like yourselves? And that can be of the KOL or DOL variety.
I would say come to us, opinion leaders, and ask us what we need. I will again say something from the football world. So in our tiny tiny laboratories and very tame circumstances, we have created the preventive program for hamstring injury, which is one of the leading injuries in football. Then we sent it to the field and told the football players that it works, it's great for them. Football players don't like it. We never asked them why is that. We said they're not doing it because they're stupid and uneducated football players. And result was there was no result. When we changed the approach, now we are going to the football players. We're asking them, okay, this is the end goal. This is what we want to achieve. This is what we want to have. This is what works. Can you help us making it work for you? And now suddenly we are making progress.
Look at that. It works on football players. So, Doc,
I would say so, yes. I want to remain politically correct. And please, nobody quotes me in this that I said.
Well, I think I have to echo Dr. Zoran. Well, I'm going to try to be politically correct here, but you know, at the end of the day, it's all about connection, isn't it? And as a representative of the young group of HCPs, we really want to feel included. So I think that means that pharma needs to better understand this young generation of HCPs who are the decision makers of tomorrow. And you know, there are a variety of ways to do that. Surveys, short surveys, emphasis on shorts. You know, it could just be like webinars and you know, in-person events as well, where you know, it's not just that we're talking at the HCPs or the students, and I think including medical schools here might be a great idea as well, but you know, actually trying to understand these HCPs as well, because for many of us, the pharma industry does feel like an impenetrable ivory tower, and it's, you know, we have no idea what commercial and medical and digital and, or even what omnichannel means. So if we are able to have a peek behind the curtain, then we can actually connect with the real people, the real faces in this room who are, you know, nurturing and creating the future of the pharmaceutical industry, so that we kind of break this perception of big bad pharma and can actually see the mission-driven people behind the industry who are actually creating change and who directly align with to impact patient health.
I think it's a great point. I mean, you understand medicine, but there's so much of pharma you just don't get, and I think a lot of us take that for granted. So, you know, that's, I think, a great point. Self-servingly, love hearing you talk about the surveys. You know, certainly being able to do that unmet needs assessment, really understand, you know, what is the biggest unmet need, what the physicians need to know more about, what do they need, what are they craving, what would be useful, what would be helpful. So, you know, understanding before we engage, I think, is a really great recommendation as well, and something Sermo can help with, I might add. But Dr. Teplinsky.
I echo everything that's been said. I think working with organizations like Sermo to get those unmet needs is huge. And I think when engaging with DOLs, asking them what is your community need, right? And who's in your community? Is your community other doctors? Is it clinicians? Is it patients? And what do they need? And how can we help broach those needs is the first place to start.
All right, starting to wrap things up. It's time to answer the question that brought us all here today, which is, what did the DOL say to the KOL? If you could give one piece of advice, what is the one thing you say to the KOL or DOL counterpart?
So can I, as I'm KOL, can I?
You are
do it the
KOL.
other way around? Thanks so much.
Be KOL.
My message to DOL is two words: listen and be responsible. Listen to hear. Obviously, it's a great new world out there. As I said in our preparation, I'm not sure if I like it or not, but it's out there. I need to learn to live there. I cannot live without DOLs, and we have to listen to each other to learn how we can do it. But listen to hear, not only listen to hear the voice, and then responsibility. I'm a surgeon. I could kill one person at a time. You guys could kill thousands with one wrong post. So when you are posting things, think that you are sending this message to somebody that you love. Like your mother-in-law might not be the best. Like your brother, sister, even mom.
All right, on that note, just in the interest of time, going to wrap up, but we included a lot of really great information here. I wasn't sure what would be possible in 20 short minutes, but I think we'd be great. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you guys for being a fantastic panel and sharing your firsthand experiences and expertise. We'll be around the rest of the conference, so please be sure to stop by Sermo's booth to talk more HCP insights and engagement.